Have you ever been concerned that your in-home virtual assistant might someday have murderous intent for you and your family? I imagine even hearing that premise makes you at least a little bit afraid. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater.
All right, this is Ronald, and I'm leaving the theater after seeing afrAID. afrAID. Written and directed by Chris Weitz, starring John Cho, Katherine, Waterston, Keith Carradine, Havana Rose Liu, and Lukita Maxwell. And for a complete cast listing, you can always go to the link in our show notes. I am here alone. It's just me today. And wow, what a movie. You know what? I'm just going to let the tension build as y'all discover over the course of this review what a movie means. You might not have to wait long. Let me tell you the premise of this movie. This movie is basically a fear letter, instead of a love letter, a fear letter written to and on behalf of everyone who is concerned about AI and home electronics and things listening to you, all of that. It is an expose even. Not even an expose. It is meant to be, hey, isn't it weird that this thing happens? That's kind of what's happening here. It's when I say, isn't it weird? The whole plot of the movie is that, and it actually starts with like a text that happens with this AI. And basically this AI it's from the New York Times, and the AI says, hey, I don't know you, but I think I love you, or something stupid like that. And then it starts with some AI animations. And then as the movie continues, you realize that there is like a home kind of Alexa adjacent, and Alexa is invoked several times in this movie, kind of house assistant that is under the guise of being helpful, revealed to be a very super powerful supercomputer that is run by some, Google derivative or Google, I don't know, basically some sort of like Google stand-in in this movie, if you will. There's a word I'm forgetting. But anyway, the point is, that's what it's supposed to be. This isn't a good movie. What a terrible, terrible movie. It is a movie that, when you settle in, one, it doesn't even know what genre it's in. It convinces you that in the beginning, maybe it's a horror movie. But it's not a horror movie. It's more of a mystery, if anything. It's barely a thriller. And when it gets to the end, you realize, why did you make me sit through this? There is this family of 5 led by John Cho, married to Katherine Waterston, and 3 children. And obviously it's millennial parents going through the regular rigmarole of parenting. And there's a gap left that's filled by this AI to help make their lives easier and help them parent their children, which there is something to be said there, but it's so underbaked. Underbaked is what I would call this film for the most part. There's premises in here and threads and stems and stubs that start off being like, okay, that's okay. All right, that's where y'all going? Okay, I'm with it. That makes sense. And then it kind of just like stops short of being anything that's actually, worth holding on to, because it disappears. It doesn't commit to any of its own bits. There's not enough revealed. The movie, wow, y'all can't, I know y'all aren't gonna believe me when I say this. It's too short. It's too short, y'all. It's an hour and 24 minutes. And about 40 minutes in, I'm like, oh no, y'all haven't done enough work to be getting kind of the payoffs that y'all expect to be getting. I mean, there's several plot points that are happening with each of the children. Each of the children has their own plot point, plus the wife and the dad. And because they're all kind of like separately acting out their own things with this AI that's kind of like manipulating and I'm using air quotes, manipulating and controlling them, because the manipulation and the control is not done at a deep enough level that it's absolutely believable. Like, there's things that are insinuated by the AI, including like relationship infidelity, that is insinuated so loosely and so non-committally that me as a viewer was like, come on, ain't nobody gonna believe that. Ain't nobody gonna believe it. And sure enough, it was like done. They're like, oh, y'all don't believe this? Okay, never mind. Let's move on. And I'm like, well, what was the purpose of that? We already know, like, and this is at a point in the movie when we already know that the AI is air quote evil, or as evil as machinery can be. So yeah, I mean, I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was a waste of time. I saw it on a Saturday afternoon. I could have been doing other things. I did not enjoy this movie whatsoever. But I really like John Cho, and I want to see him in more things. The last thing I saw him in before this was Missing, which was such a great movie. And if you haven't seen Missing, as a matter of fact, if you listen to the review this far, go watch Missing. Go watch Missing, because Missing, and there's another movie that came out with not Sanaa Lathan, but Nia Long, that is kind of like a spiritual successor to it. And the whole premise of the movie is that it plays out completely on a computer screen, which I think is Missing again is just fantastic. Well done by John Cho. You should check that out. And if the only thing you get from this review is that you should go watch Missing and that John Cho should get more acting parts, then that's fine. I just don't want people to see this and be like, well, John Cho shouldn't be acting anymore. No, he does a good job. And he showed up, he clocked into work. All of the actors clocked into work. They didn't give them much. This movie, like, a lot of the script feels a lot like maybe maybe there was a different movie here that like didn't quite work out, and so they tried something else, or they went to do reshoots and maybe they didn't have time, so they had to cut something. It just feels like there's something missing. By the time we get to the third act, I'm like, this still feels like second act, guys. Like, there hasn't been a real turn here. I don't know where we're going with this. But yeah, just overall, not good. Not good. I would not watch it again. I did not enjoy it. I did not like the writing nor the direction. The acting was fine. Nobody did anything egregious or wrong. There was nothing too melodramatic or anything like that. It just, I mean, wasn't very good. It gets to the end. It felt like a camp sketch. It felt like I used to work at summer camps, and it felt like when the kids come up with a really good premise and they can't think of an ending, and so they just make up something, and we're just like, man, you know, when this started, this idea sounded really good, but now that y'all continue talking, I realized that y'all are 12 and there's no way in the world you're going to be able to be successful at this. No disrespect to Chris Weitz. He's not going to like hearing that, but this ain't it. And it does give me hope, knowing as a person who like wants to write for television, maybe someday, maybe even write a movie someday, that there's a lot of grace. There's a lot of grace in getting stuff made, and maybe I will have the grace to get something better than this made. So yeah, all of that being said, 1 of 5 stars. I did not like it. I won't watch it again. I don't even want to watch it for fun. It's not even fun enough to be bad enough to be good. It's just, it was boring. I didn't have a good time. They shouldn't do it again. Just go ahead and make M3 2. Even the idea, like it just isn't good. No good. Blumhouse, this is a miss for y'all. So yeah, with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios. I mixed this episode, and per usual, every dime that you give me on Patreon really helps us to continue making the show. I've really gotten into a rhythm of putting out an episode every week by myself, planning the movies, trying to look ahead, giving this show what it actually deserves, which is consistent content every single week. We are working to build out more of the Patreon package, but for now, the dollars that you are giving us are helping to support Leaving the Theater itself and the existence of the show. So know that if you're helping us, you're helping a show to exist. You could give your money to NPR, you could give your money to, other Patreons, other people, but when you give it to Leaving the Theater, I'm telling you right now, you're helping the show to exist. And I appreciate that, honestly. Because every now and then I'll see a movie like afrAId and I won't get a press screening. I'll have to just go see it on my own, which means I have to buy the ticket, I have to plan to go to the movies, all of that, which is different from press screenings, which are free, so it helps. And I really appreciate y'all helping me. So thank you for that. If you want to keep helping, if you haven't tried yet, patreon.com/Leaving the Theater, or go to the link in our show notes. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about afrAID, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studio shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios and on Twitter at OhitsBigRonStew. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening. And if you're still here, this week on Thursday, we're dropping season 2 premiere episode of Wait For It. If you're already subscribed, go check that out. But if you're looking for something to do in between Leaving the Theater episodes, every Thursday for the next 10 weeks, you'll have an episode of Wait For It. Thank you so much again for listening. This has been Ronald Young Jr.